There goes the red light. That means it's time to go on there and say, hi, welcome to Mary Wieden and You this morning. I am Mary Wieden. What a beautiful day. Beautiful weekend, by the way. So great day to go to the Ole Miss game tomorrow. And then Sunday, probably one of the last good warm days that we'll have to be able to go boating out on the reservoir. So big weekend for stuff to do if people are looking for stuff to do.
Well, this is beautiful weather, I'll tell you. It's just, really been great.
That is the voice of Ashby Foote. He is Ward 1 Jackson City Councilman. Welcome. Yeah, it's like we're supposed to be wearing scarves and stuff like that. We're supposed to be wearing coats. You're going to Ole Miss at the end of October in your summer clothes. People are going up there, getting boiled in the sun.
It'll be a great day. I mean, Oklahoma, that's a big team.
That is a big deal.
A great school tradition of football, national championships, the whole thing. So they're not having as great a season this year as they'd hoped to, but that'll be an exciting game with them playing at Oxford for the first time.
Oklahoma doesn't have a ranking, do they? They're not ranked.
I don't think they're ranked in the top 25.
Is Ole Miss 18?
They're still in the top 25.
Keep
it's
there.
a tough schedule. The SEC, man, it's just tough.
Well, who's next? Who's next weekend? It's going to be away, I guess. But we're getting into the hard games now, right? The last few games of the year will be the hard games, so that's okay. And like I said, it's a good weekend for boating. Whether you live at the reservoir like I do or not, just come out there. It's Sunday's going to be beautiful. Like I said, one of the last warm weekends, I presume, because it might get cold in November. Who knows? And it might even rain before Christmas. But anyway, that kind of stuff is good. The only news item really is not much to it by way of details, but there has been a body found in Jackson. And it's the 90th homicide of the year, and Chief Wade is, naturally very upset about that. But on the other hand, we've had for the last couple of years, before he was the chief, about 10 a month. So, by now it would be, let's see, is it 10 a month? Yeah, about 10 a month. So by now it would be it would be 100 by now. Just about 100 by now. So this is the 90th, and so
I think homicides are down a little bit this year, but they're still way too high.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just really sad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm glad to see these conferences, by the way, that are going on about, or meetings or whatever, about putting guns down and organizations. I would like to see some perps get brought in there. Let's hear what the perps have to say, because let's see who's really doing it. Let's talk to them. And it should be citywide. People should be citywide, because this is a citywide situation. It can get better.
It sure can, and it needs to get better, and we need to work on our conflict resolution skills. Too often these things are just over little bitty stuff that they just. It's really sad to see people not be able to come to reasonable solutions and end up being.
A gun is not a toy, and a gun is not something you pull out and say, I don't like you, blam, blam, you're dead. No, that's not the way to do things, not at all. And by the way, something else that I worry about, and we don't have any indication that they're here yet. But I asked the chief had he heard anything yet, and he hadn't. But I saw a map the other day. He was here, a week and a half ago, asking about Tren de Agua. I'm saying it the Spanish way, Tren de Agua. That's the god-awful people from Venezuela. They make all our gangs look like kindergartners. They're vicious, malicious people. I mean, they slice you up and, first of all, they rape women mostly, of course, and then slice them up if they so choose.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're just really bad. They're like MS-13. Remember a couple of years ago there was a head found on a stoop at somebody's house in Jackson, and the body was found nearby. I wondered if that was, at the time, MS-13.
This is really depressing, Mary.
Oh, I know.
I didn't know we were going to get into this.
We'll get into some more stuff that's more enlightening, like the federal investigation. No, but this Tren de Agua, they are in New Orleans. And they plan to go around. They're the people who have been marauding Aurora, Colorado, and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we have to watch out for them. So here's our phone number for other cheerful. Would you like to share your cheerful stories? We're at 888-808-8637. We are at 601-879-4395. And you can watch us, supertalk.fm/Mary. And if you don't see us now, you can see us later on, too, as well. So, Councilman Foote, you've named a couple names of people who are being looked at. I want to ask you, first of all, what's the effect on people about this federal investigation of city officials? I mean, it's good that it's being done in a way to clean it out, but on the other hand, it's like, oh, gee, do we need that on top of the water and the streets and everything?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm probably not the right person to ask.
You are.
I mean, I've got my opinions and all, but as for what the people think, I hope they see this in the right vein, and that U.S. Attorney Todd G., who came back to Mississippi about a year ago in September or so of 2023, he was appointed by President Biden, nominated or recommended by Congressman Thompson. He had been a staffer on Congressman Thompson's office. And then went into, as an attorney, went into the Justice Department, and he was the deputy director of the Department of Public Integrity, which is a really big job.
Yes.
That's where he was working, and he's originally from Vicksburg, and so he was sent down here to be the U.S. attorney, which makes him basically at the federal level the prosecutor. And the FBI works for him doing the investigation, and he does decisions on what to pursue. And so he has really taken this serious about corruption at within the public offices, and which is the Department of Public Integrity. For those who don't know it, is the part of the Justice Department that specifically focuses on elected officials across the country,
right.
And they've got a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, very serious investigations into New Orleans, into Oakland and the mayor in Oakland, and most visibly all the action going on in New York City pursuing Eric Adams. So the Department of Public Integrity is they're really on a roll right now.
Good.
And which is good.
Yes.
Clean things up.
Yes.
And Jackson has become under their microscope, and Todd G. is working hard to root out the corruption that they're aware of. And so this investigation really showed itself back in late May when they showed up with SUVs full of FBI agents at the DA's office, at a cigar bar that was owned by the DA, and at City Hall and the mayor's office, where they came in with investigators, took out information, took phones away, took all kind of stuff with them, and then it takes a while to analyze all that information and try to connect the dots. That happened in late May. And then we saw the first resignation in early August of Councilwoman Lee, who's a really sweet gal. I really enjoyed working with her, but unfortunately she had done some things that were inappropriate. And so she resigned and did a plea deal.
Effectively got romanced by it. In a broad sense of the term. Oh, you're so wonderful. Look at these things, and we can all work together, and we can do all this kind of stuff, and it'll be good, and all that kind of stuff. That's what I mean by that. Romance. Oh, okay, this is going to be okay.
So we know more of the details on that one because of the fact that it has been written about. But then this a week ago, Thursday, they had this gentleman who I'd never heard of, Marv Smith, who works with the district attorney, with Mr. Owens, and he did a plea deal. Mm-hmm. He met early in the morning on Thursday, pled not guilty, and then it met with his attorneys, later in the morning, and decided to go back and do a plea deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Yeah. So they published result with some limited information, and they included on the DOJ website a bill of information. Mm-hmm. And that's where they talked about, this is for public view, and you can post it on several different websites, where they talk about the unindicted co-conspirator, mm-hmm. unindicted co-conspirator A, B, and C. And it goes on to say within this bill of information, which is the DOJ talking, that all of these are elected officials, that two of them were elected officials within the city of Jackson, one of them on the legislative side and one on the executive side, based on the powers that they had. So that's when you could connect the dots and the other one was an elected official, but not at the city level. So
Councilman Stokes named when he was here a couple months ago, and in an interview, I have to tell you, the result of that interview was quite fascinating. But he named the mayor, and he named Jody Owens, and he named Councilman Banks. But you have said you believe it's Owens, the DA, and you believe it's the mayor. But the other person is somebody that you don't know. You're not here saying.
See,
right?
I don't want to name on the council person
right,
side.
Right, you don't know, so we're not.
Right. But there's only one city elected official that has executive powers, and that's the mayor. Right. So that pretty much, it doesn't take much to connect those dots.
Right.
So he's an unindicted co-conspirator, and the elected official on the county side is, in this case, it's the district attorney, and he's an unindicted co-conspirator, and there's a third unindicted co-conspirator. So whether that would suggest that they might be indicted. So the question is when. But in the meantime, they are co-conspirators, according to the Justice Department. So that's really, this is a serious matter.
Yes,
and it's tragic at the individual level for those people like Ms. Lee and others who are on this in this perilous situation.
And she'll be sentenced in November, by the way, which is just around the corner.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's going to be sentenced in November. But I was going to say about the Stokes interview, somebody ran it on Nextdoor, and I get the Rankin County version of it, and there were a lot of comments. And I thought, oh, well, Rankin County, because I live in Rankin County, their attitude would be like, well, see, this is what you get when you live in Jackson. No, but they were not like that at all. 99.9% of them were very positive, saying that we hate this for Jackson. We hate to see our city, going down the tubes like this. We have nothing but the best to wish for Jackson. And I thought, well, that's really amazing, because you know how people can be. People can be like, I'm glad I don't live there anymore. But they're not like that. They were very generous and very positive about the city. And I thought, well, that's really good, because the city needs that. Positive somewhere, something really good. You need something really big and good to happen. Although I'm told that Capitol Street is lovely. I'm told that it looks great. I haven't been down there in a while.
It does look. There's a lot of really Jackson's got great bones and got great upside potential, and it's probably a good time to shake things up, and that's what the feds are doing.
Yeah.
And you have to take these people very seriously. They do not fool around.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake to go out and show braggadocio and sort of be flippant about these charges at this point in time.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation, but eventually something good can come of it.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, life does go on, and people do have to go to their jobs and all this kind of stuff, and they're liking what they're seeing in the downtown area, which is good.
Yeah.
It's walking and chewing gum at the same time. You got the hard stuff over there on your side of things, the lawmaking side, but then the commercial side seems to be doing better, and that's really good. I haven't been up there in years now, but I'm originally from Detroit, which was really down the tubes for a very long time. But I'm told it's coming back nicely. They're doing a lot of things. God knows what they're doing. It's like Jackson on steroids is what Detroit is. But if they can come back and get on a positive journey on the way back, so can Jackson. I think. That could really happen.
There's a lot of things going on at the grassroots in Jackson with different groups that have come together to try to focus on how to move Jackson in a positive direction and to change the trajectory of the city. And there's I went to a forum about 2 weeks ago of people who are running for mayor. There were 6 of them there, but there's several others. There's a lot of people engaged in the political arena that want to move Jackson in a positive direction.
We've already had John Horn on. As soon as he declared, he's been on this program before anyway, and as soon as he got declared, text him up, come do the show. And so, he barely got his feet wet as a candidate, but he came to the show.
I like John. He brings a lot to the table. He's got a lot of experience working in the State House and at the Capitol, and knows a lot of people, and has a real heart for Jackson as well.
I had forgotten that I met him a long time ago when he was at the Tourism Bureau. He used to do that. Tourism Division, long time ago before he became senator. I'd forgotten I interviewed him in a past life doing news. And I knew him from somewhere, but of course I knew him from the legislature. That's where I thought I knew him from.
I think he's also done stuff with New Stage.
I don't know. Maybe I can't remember if he's done that or not. That's quite fascinating. I knew that Malcolm McMillan did, but
right,
but could very well be. But yeah, he also has worked as at the state level. He's worked in I think the DFA. He's done a lot of things, so he knows how everything works. He knows how the people to get to or the buttons to push. He knows that, and which can be nothing but good for Jackson. So I'm not endorsing, but I'm just saying, what I know about him and what's good. And there'll be other people who are running for mayor I'll have on the show eventually. But some of the people who are running, like, why are you bothering? But that's okay. That's up to them. By the way, I was going to say about Jody Owens, by the way. It's not incorrect to do this, and I didn't check for this last run last year, but the first time he ran, he did get some money from George Soros, and we know what a controller George Soros is. Look at he's done to the DAs out in California and up in New York State too. I believe he was Aaron Bragg, one of Aaron Bragg's financiers, and he also, George Soros, paid into the campaign of the DA over in Meridian. But I don't know how much. Yeah, he gave him more money than he gave Jody Owens. Jody Owens didn't get a whole lot of money. I don't know. Less than $200,000.
He spread out a lot of money all across the country. And so as to how much, he's actually involved with or engaged with, politics here in Hinds County, I don't know.
We don't know. But well, also, by the way, George Soros is making a bid with the FCC to buy something like 200 radio stations.
Yeah, I saw that.
200 radio stations. Yeah. Imagine what that would be like. Oh, well, it'd just be a nightmare. But that's okay. Look, you got us to listen to. And by the way, speaking of,
he's not buying SuperTalk, is he?
No way. No, we wouldn't let him in the building. I don't think. Okay. We just say, no, sir. You need to go to another place. But speaking of that side of things, the oppo side, there's an awful lot of nasty stuff now coming out about Trump allegedly. Some woman from the 90s, for God's sakes, and all this crap about he's a fascist and all that stuff. I would like somebody to ask Kamala and Hillary Clinton, define fascism and define a fascist, because you'll find you're really talking about yourselves. But anyway, we're going to take a break here. I've got Ashby Foote, Ward 1 Councilman, here in the studio with us, so we'll be back in just a few minutes. Probably worth saying again, I was talking off the air, we were talking about what people are doing. And the time, this is a JPD fire department story. It was the time, 4th of July, a couple of years ago. A friend of mine who had to take the train up from New Orleans wanted to go into the car place to see if they had any Subarus on the stand there, on the lot. And there was a gate that was open, and when I went in there, we found them and got out of the car for about 5 minutes and okay, time to go home. The gate was locked. Uh-oh, and what do we do? It's a holiday and there's nobody around. And so my friend was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to call JPD and see what they have, if they can help us. And at the time, there wasn't any answer. And she said, well, what are you going to do now? I said, well, we're going to call the fire department and see what they can do without a siren. So I called the fire department and nearby. And the guy who answered the phone, I told him, I said, I'm Mary Wieden, and I'm locked in this car dealership. He goes, the real Mary Wieden? I said, yes. He said, well, I listen to you every day. I said, well, thank you very much. I said, well, so I'm locked in this place. I said, could you maybe send somebody over to see if you can help get us out of here? And so, but don't use a siren. So they sent some very nice firemen over to the place, and nobody was being snarky or anything, but we did get to laughing later on. And then a little while later, here comes a police officer, comes up from the other direction, and I said, well, how'd you know about this? She said, I heard it on the scanner. So she came, and she was as helpful and nice as she could possibly be. And they all went around checking the gates and everything like that. No. So we were going to have to leave my car there and have somebody come and pick us up, because no life was in danger, so they couldn't break the lock, and the holiday and all that kind of stuff. But my attitude then, and it still is, these are wonderful people. And if they were all as good as this, and I'd like to think that all the police and fire people are as good as these people, then Jackson is in good hands. They were all terrific. They didn't have to be terrific. They really were.
Very, very tough job. Very dangerous
horrible,
job.
Terrible.
And so just the fact that they signed up to do that kind of work, when they leave home in the morning, who knows what problems they're going to run into in the course of one day. Yep. And especially with all the challenges that Jackson's faced out in recent times with homicide rates and carjackings and these stuff.
Well, not just Jackson though. Think about the officer who had been he'd been the head of police department, I think, in Ridgeland, and he had retired. But he helped out. There was a terrible situation in Brandon a couple of years ago where a guy was holed up in his house and wasn't coming out, and they had so they had Brandon police, Ridgeland County Police, and I don't know who all else. Anyway, Tyler was his name, Officer Tyler. He'd been a chief, and he was murdered that day.
Oh,
it was just awful, just awful. So that proves you never know. They don't know,
yeah.
and they go and do this. Amazing. Anyway, so that is the voice, folks, of Ashby Foote, councilman from Ward 1. Has your ward changed at all? Your lines changed at all with redistricting?
We just went through a redistricting, and unfortunately, we had to give up some of our land. They had to move the boundaries around so that the wards all have the similar amount of population. And sadly, from the census in 2010, the population of Jackson was like 172,000. By 2020, which is the latest census, the population was 152,000. So we'd lost 20,000 people. Ward 1 really hadn't shrunk in number of people. So we had to change the boundaries in a way that allowed some of the other wards to have, more voters, so we can not be in violation of the Voting Rights Act.
Wow. So
you're going to be actually this SuperTalk where your offices are. Come January, you'll be in Ward 2 rather than in Ward 1.
Oh, okay. Well, Ward 2. Who's Ward 2? Well,
the new
that's Angelique
we just elected this past Tuesday.
Tina Clay.
Tina Clay was elected the new council person for Ward 2.
And she's got a good background. Apparently,
she had a
business
state
background.
farm agency, and she's middle-aged, and her husband is Henry Clay. He's a municipal judge. So I think she brings a lot of, business experience, community experience to.
That's good.
To the council, that'll be good.
Is she a native Jacksonian? Probably.
I think she's lived here for a long time.
Lots of people.
Yeah, you'll have to have her come on the air here in a month or two.
Yeah, let her get her feet wet. Do a couple of sessions
go through
and
a couple
whatever.
Of meetings and all that.
See what it's really like out there. Well, I want to talk to you about the water situation, Jackson Water, whatever they call themselves, the feds. Yeah. Do you like having them, or do you want to have them turn it all back to Jackson? What's your thinking on that?
Well, right now it's vastly improved. They've had a. We went through this whole, very complicated situation where we had to negotiate with the DOJ and the EPA for the water system and a basic takeover of it by the feds. They had set up a third-party interim manager in order to make sure that this, $600 million that the feds were sending to Jackson was properly spent on improving the water system, the delivery system, all the pipes underground, the plants themselves, and so and now they're overseeing the sewer system as well. So I think it's
good.
Much more reliable now. I think it's much more trustworthy as far as the quality of the water and the reliability. The water pressure's there when you need it. They've made a lot of improvements in the piping and continue to make that. It'll take a long time to deploy replace small little 2-inch old pipes with 4-inch and 6-inch bigger pipes, and so all that with the intent of making it a stable and more resilient water system. So I'm pleased with that.
Yeah,
as to
let them do it,
the
right?
takeover, I hate to get in these political squabbles over, what's going to happen 2 years from now. Is it going to come back to the city? It needs to be with people who have a professional staff and professional oversight and do what's best for the citizens.
But it's working, and that's what's
it's
important.
Working, yeah.
And I think they want to maybe close down fuel.
At some point, they expect to close down the fuel plant, which is a very old water plant.
It's the one. I call him Mr. Fuel and Mr. Curtis. Old Mr. Fuel held up during the last water crisis.
You're right.
It's an old simple thing where the water comes in from the reservoir, you go through a couple things and put it back out. Whereas Mr. Curtis, water comes in from the reservoir, and you got to go through all kinds of gyrations to get that water out.
Yeah, it's a more complicated system.
Yes, all bells and whistles and computers and yada. la-di-da-di-da. But so if they
the fuel system is the one you see as you drive down the S curve on
Waterworks
I-55.
curve. Yep, that's why it's called Waterworks curve, because that's the Waterworks plant.
Yeah.
But it stood up, so I think that's a really good thing.
So the plants are much more reliable now, and we need to be satisfied with that. And I disagree with the idea of generating a new conflict over how it's going to be managed a year from now or 2 years from now.
Don't know.
At this point in time.
Have you ever been up to Curtis or Fuel? But have you been up to Curtis to see how it operates?
Yeah, I have. I spent some time up there. One time when they had just broken down, they had a electrical issue that came up with one of their parts of their computer system, and the whole plant ended up getting shut down because of that. It's a very complicated plant. They got two different ways to generate the clean water, and that's one of the reasons it has been harder to keep operating as efficiently as it should be.
Yeah, it's very complicated. Whereas, like I say, Fuel is a pretty simple guy. I want to get back. I want to go to what we were talking about.
Okay.
The indictments and stuff, because we've got from one of our listeners. These indictments are the best thing to happen for Jackson, whoever this person is.
Okay.
We sort of talked about that. Yeah, it's awful, but it's good to get it cleaned out, and eventually there will be good come out of all this.
I think so. I think that's the proper framework to look at it. I mean, sometimes you just have to clean out the barn, and this looks like one of those times, and it's still going to be painful for some of the individuals involved, and we just have to get through that. And what's important is what we reorient the government more focused on the citizens. And one of the big challenges the council is going to face from this point going forward for the next days, weeks, and months is rebuilding trust with the citizens of Jackson.
Yep, exactly. So elections are coming up next year.
That's right. There'll be a campaign going on.
There certainly will be. Are you running for re-election?
I am.
Oh, okay. And how many terms have you served now?
I've served 2.5. This will be, I ran for a special election in 2014.
What was the occasion for that? Whoever was there?
Quentin Whitwell had decided to move to Oxford, Mississippi, and he was the council person.
Oh, okay.
So he resigned in September of 2014, and there was a special election.
Oh.
With 6 or 7 people running.
That was 10 years ago. Okay,
yeah.
So you've liked it enough to where, because you're a private investment person.
Yeah.
You've never done government before, but you're doing it, I think, pretty effectively. You're keeping people happy in your district.
Well, I work at it, but it's
money. This is the important thing. You know about money. This is what because that's what we got to have.
Part of it, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's really like the speaker. Tip O'Neill used to say, all politics is local. You really find that out when you become a council person or somebody at the local level, whether it's a supervisor or whatever. It's amazing how all politics really is local. And it comes down to small things like yards and trash and something. Trash. Yeah. By the way, trash. How did that ever? So you've got Richard's Trash. Is that who you ended up with? Richard's Disposal, and they have a contract right now. If anything, I don't know if anything of that will come up in these DOJ investigations. Right now, what they're talking about is this the conspiracy regarding this hotel development, which it turns out there were undercover FBI agents involved in in this whole operation, and but there may be other crimes that are included, or other corruption that's included when they finally get down to the brass tacks. Yeah, if people don't understand, it was the conspiracy thing was to be a hotel across the street from the convention center. Right. To do that. And you went to a luncheon with them, and did you think something just didn't seem quite right? They didn't have business cards and stuff, did they? Yeah, I was invited to a luncheon by a staff member of the DA back in, the luncheon was on the 29th of February, to talk about some economic development, and that's all I knew. I wanted to talk to DA about abandoned property anyway, so I went to the luncheon. It was up at Capitol Towers, and there were a group of folks there, and they talked in generalities, but it wasn't a very what I would consider a sophisticated presentation. It wasn't like they
didn't have charts or anything.
They didn't have brochures or charts, or they didn't even give me a business card. So, but I just walked away puzzled that it was sort of a nothing burger. But it certainly never occurred to me that they were undercover FBI agents. Really?
I mean, who?
But that was until 2 months later that comes out about this FBI undercover agents and a sting operation, and I said, "Wow."
Yeah, really. Well, you know what? Are you playing that music at us already? Oh, my goodness sakes, Councilman Foote, it's time to say adieu, because we got to do a little bit of business this morning with the city of Clinton. What do you think about that?
Good for them. Clinton's a great city. That's where I went to high school. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm an Clinton Arrow from a long time ago. But thanks for having me on, and thanks for doing what you do, Mary.
Well, thank you very much. You'll be back certainly, and so I'll give our new council person a little bit of time and have her back or have her on. And speaking of, next Tuesday we've got the mayor of Clinton, but this is the
Phil Fisher. I think he's maybe stepping down.
He is. So he's
a great guy
got some stuff to talk about. But this is going to be on the Main Street Clinton. So we'll be back in a few minutes, everybody. Thank you. Well, you got that right. So welcome back. Final segment on Mary Wieden this Friday. Glad to have you along with us. We are at 888-808-8637, as we always are. And if you would like to text us, we're at 601-879-4395. And you can watch us, supertalk.fm/Mary. So I'm in the studio all by myself, but not completely alone, because we have got a guest on the phone, right? Yeah, welcome. It's Tara Lytal. You are director of Main Street Clinton. So how you doing?
I'm doing great this Friday morning. How about you?
Same here. Glad it's Friday. Naturally, knocked myself out working 2 days a week, but no, it's actually it works. It's more than that. It's more. There's a lot more than goes into it. But anyhow, so what exactly are you? What is your thing that you do more so than any other body, I guess, in the city of Clinton? Because there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. Is that all you?
No, it's not all me, but we do our fair share of it for sure. So I'm the director of the Main Street Clinton program, and Main Street programs are, designed to revitalize downtowns. And most of the way we have accomplished revitalizing our Old Town area is through events. And so we do a lot of events in downtown, and just really have been successful in establishing our downtown as the heart of our community.
Well, you got a great setup, because you got the steps at the Brick Street, steps down to Brick Street, and that sets the whole. I think that sets the whole thing for Clinton. I'm sure there's more that goes on there, but it all seems to be right there. Starting at the steps, and if people don't know what I'm talking about, there's a large staircase that's at the edge of Mississippi College, and then it steps down to the street. It's called Brick Street because it's full of bricks, but it really has a name, I'm sure, doesn't it?
We just call it Old Town.
Oh, you just call it Old Town.
Street. You're thinking of Jefferson Street. Yeah. Beautiful view from the Mississippi College Quad.
Yes, and it's a great place. A lot of things go on down there. Places to eat, places to buy things. Wyatt Waters has his store there, by the way. And he's one of your famous people.
He is. He's great. He was on our board of directors that helped get our program started. So he's really early adopter and believer in our downtown.
Well, I'll tell you who. He's become famous from doing interviews on this company at our stations here, and he does some TV things too, and that's Glenn Antizzo, who's one of your professors at Mississippi College. He teaches history and politics. What a time for him. Between the wars and the election, he's up to his ears and his eyeballs with things, and he is an adopted Clintonian, but he loves Clinton.
Oh, good to know.
What are you building? Some new things for shopping? Are you building the whole thing? Is that you all, or what is all that?
No, I think you're referring to what Mississippi College is doing across from the campus, across Highway 80. It's called Rising Springs. And that'll be they're doing the infrastructure right now, but that's not us. But we'll kind of look in that. We'll have our downtown on one side, Mississippi College in the middle, and then this new development right close to the interstate.
What are you looking to do to downtown right now? Because it seems like it's in pretty good shape, but hey, everybody can grow, right?
Yeah, well, we're really at about 95% occupancy. We have worked for years to fill our downtown and get cooperative property owners who would lease to great businesses. We have a new restaurant that'll be opening in, they hope to open the 1st of December. It's a Greek restaurant, Kyriakos. They have one in Ridgeland. I probably murdered the name of that. But anyway, Drew, I apologize if I murdered the name of it. But anyway, we're super excited to get them downtown because it just makes us a destination. We have 303 Jefferson. We've got the Bank by Pizza Shack. We've got Mimi's Bakery. We've got Cups. So we really are becoming a little more of a dining destination. But
wonderful.
I'd love to tell you about a couple of events we've got coming up.
Okay. What you got? You got
Okay.
a Christmas? Have you got a Christmas parade?
Oh, yeah. That's not me, though. That's a chamber.
Oh, okay.
What I've got, what Main Street has going on, tonight we have our last dinner and a movie. We put up a movie screen in the middle of the intersection of Jefferson and Leake Street, and we show movies. We do 4 in the spring, 4 in the fall. So this is our last one in the fall. We're showing The Wizard of Oz. Excited about that. We'll have some characters that will come out before the movie and mingle with the kids. We've got a great food truck. It's a new food truck to us. It's called something Triple J Pizza Tacos. So I don't know exactly what that's about, but we'll
good food.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, that starts at dusk, which is around 6:30, and that's free. Just you have to purchase your meal, but the movie's free. So that's one of the big things we're kind of rounding out this fall with, and then we have our holiday market coming up in November.
Ooh, where's that going to be and when is it?
Huge.
We
it's
like
right
that.
On our downtown, on those brick streets. If you stand up at the quad and look right down Jefferson Street, you'd see craft vendors lining the streets. And so that's kind of our kickoff to the holiday season.
What's the date on that one, Tara?
November the 9th.
Okay. Oh,
that's a fun day.
Yeah.
Real fun day.
And it's a Saturday, too, which is great. Oh, and the vote will be over with, and everybody will be like, okay, good, now we can get back to living.
Exactly.
Right. Is the town? Would it be the decorating? Christmas decorations for the Main Street there, for the brick street? Are you going to put up holiday decorations, or what are you going to do?
Always. We always deck it out with decorations. Now we won't quite have them done by the November 9th market.
That's a little early, but
right after.
That's okay. I always I like to put up my outdoor lights the weekend before Thanksgiving. Just sort of like get into the spirit a little bit. Not the inside. That doesn't come till maybe the day after Thanksgiving. But it's fun to do that stuff early, because it's pretty, and it's cheerful, and that's a good thing.
It's a lot of work, and you want to enjoy it as long as you can.
Exactly right. So what else you got going on over there? I know I was going to ask you though before you answer that. Okay. Do you see an influx of people because the Continental Tire Company is right outside of town, and you got a whole lot of new people, I presume, working there and coming to town, and whether they're buying houses or shopping or whatever. Do you see an influx from there?
Oh, we've definitely seen an increase in traffic. You see it in our restaurants and all. So, yes, we're definitely reaping some great benefits from Continental Tire.
Well, that's good. That's very great. Oh, so what else were you going to say that you got happening?
Okay. Well, so in December, really it's one of our most loved events. It's called the annual Santa Claus Crawl. And what that is, we patterned it after kind of like a pub crawl. You get a mug. It's one of the few events that we do that we charge for. You purchase a ticket, and you get this mug, and you go from business to business, and you sample cider. They'll have hors d'oeuvres, and you register for door prizes. And then at the end, we have this little party where Santa Claus comes, and he draws from each of the businesses their door prizes. So people walk away with some really great gifts, and there are also some great shopping discounts and things going on during that time. Our citizens just love it, and we see people from all around, not just Clinton, who come to this event. So that's scheduled for December the 5th, Thursday, December 5th.
So you'll see people walking around with cups, huh? And they'll be like, "What? Yeah. What's going on here?"
We change our Santa every year, so it's kind of like a collector's cup and collector's mug. And but anyway, if people want to know more about what we do, they can follow us on Facebook. We're just Main Street Clinton, or they can go to our website, mainstreetclintonms.com. Because I kind of scratched the surface. We do quite a lot. We're busy planning for the spring now.
So if you got stuff you want to talk about for spring already?
Well, sure. I mean, we can touch
what you got?
We started a new event this past year because thinking about our downtown retailers, January and February are pretty slow months, and so we were trying to come up with some ideas to help generate traffic and just something fun. So we started a chocolate walk. And so that will be, I don't actually have the date yet for that. It'll be around Valentine's Day, though. And it's a Saturday afternoon thing where they buy a ticket and they go from business to business and they sample chocolates, and they can take samples with them. And we did a cute little tote bag to collect their samples in. So we'll be repeating that. It was so successful, and like I said, just a good time of the year to get people out stirring around.
Well, that sounds yummy. Now, what is the date on that one again?
Well, we haven't set our date for it. It will be around Valentine's, but there's all the more reason to go follow us on social media. So once we get that date, we'll announce it.
You're on Facebook. What else? Are you on X?
No, we're not on X. We're on Instagram.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And one other thing that's a collaborative effort, it's a really big thing for our community. It's called Red Brick Roads. It's a music and art festival that we do in our downtown, and we have selected a new date for that this year. It's March the 28th and 29th, and that will be a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Clinton, because it takes all of those partners to pull off a 2-day festival. So we're busy planning for that. So just lots going on in our community.
You also have Brick Street Players. I don't know if they'll take an active role in any of this stuff, but you have, if people want to know, that's a theater group, and they do really well, don't they?
They do. They revitalize. I actually was on the board to help get that back up and going, and they have just taken off. Did Little Shop of Horrors this fall. Got a couple other great performances coming up. So we are thrilled to see that taking off and going.
I know I've had them on the show. It's been I don't know, more than a year ago, I would have to say. Mm-hmm. But I thought, well, that's really good, because they're, these people are so talented. We have so much talent in this area, whether it's music or writing or theater, and people need to know about them. I think,
do.
I mean, that's a really good thing. So what are you going to do today toward all these things?
What am I doing today?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we had a little event last night, so we're kind of recouping from that.
Oh, really?
A real busy week. We were blessed to host on Wednesday some state legislators in our town to tour Main Street communities. Mm-hmm. And so we had a luncheon for them and did a tour of our downtown. And so a lot of prep and work went into that, but they were certainly highly complimentary of what we've been able to do in our Old Town Clinton. And then last night there was an event called The Haunting of Old Town.
Oh.
And that was not my event. Our Parks and Rec that does that, but we assist with them a little bit, so and do our part. So we're just kind of recouping and then getting ready for this last dinner.
Tara Lytal, thanks for joining us today, okay? And stay up with us, all right? We'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. It's time to close up shop and have a good weekend, everybody. See you next week.